So this might be one of my favorite stories of all time since I've started my consulting business. And this all happened about 5-6 years ago. There was a baseball trainer that sought me out. He saw some of my YouTube videos, and his biggest issue that he was dealing with is he had so many one-on-one clients that he was working with, like sometimes like 40 to 50 hours of coaching per week is what he was delivering. And I remember on our very first call, he just looked exhausted. And he was telling me about how his normal schedule was like, he would wake up in the morning, he would text all the parents, and he'd have sessions from like 4 in the afternoon until like sometimes 10 o'clock at night. And then on the weekends, he was working like crazy hours. And this was just, at this point, it was normal to him, but he was getting to a point where he was just burned out and he didn't really know what to do. And this, the first time we talked was the first time he ever really like took a step back and thought through, okay, how can I run this in a way where I have more energy? And how can I do this in a way that, by the end of the week, I don't just feel completely drained and completely like done with coaching. And when we talked, the big thing I was trying to solve with him is to figure out, okay, with what you do with your coaching, do we have like a system in place, or are you just running lessons? And he was just running lessons, but most of the lessons he was doing was based around a certain problem that he was solving. So what I told him, I said, hey, let's take this problem here and see if we can do it with, groups of 2 instead of one-on-one. Let's just do groups of 2 and see if that works. And so what he did is he initially just took that and he took, a couple of kids that he already worked with and he put them in groups of 2. And immediately what we saw was that worked in his business. And when that worked, he realized, okay, well, I don't need to train everybody one-on-one. And that's where the light bulb went off for him, because he was working so many hours per day, so many hours per week, to the point where he was just exhausted. And it was too physically demanding for him. And the only way he could grow his business at that point is by working more hours. And he didn't want to work more hours. And if you're watching this video, if you can put yourself in that guy's shoes, he's running so many sessions per week. And he wanted to grow his business, but he knew the only way he could do it at that point was just by taking on more clients and working more sessions, working more hours. And that's just not sustainable when you get to a certain point. And he had 2 options. He could either hire someone and keep that model and just blast out sessions every week, or he wanted to do the thing that was going to be better for his health, really, which is go into group training and go into a model that's more flexible. And when he started doing this with groups of 2, he got his whole calendar down, like within like a 90-day period. He got his whole calendar down to where he was training about half the amount of hours that he was originally. And when he did that, he was making a little bit less money than he was when he was training kids all one-on-one, because in a group setting, he charged a little bit less per month than he would have normally charged someone for individual lessons for one-on-one for that month. But he had way more energy. And what we realized after he scaled from going from one-on-one training to doing small groups of 2, he realized I can have groups of 4. And when he made that switch, again, his workload got decreased by half the amount of time again. And now he was at a point where he was doing roughly 10 or 11 hours of training per week. His energy was a lot higher. Again, he took a little step back financially than he was originally when he was doing everything one-on-one. But when he made that switch from going from groups of 2 to then groups of 4, his coaching got better. When he would sell his program to parents, his sales process was easier because now they're buying a program and they're coming into a group that has kids that are like-minded, kids that are at the same level. So he had a really legit program at that point, where all of the new clients at that point, they were going into these groups of 4 that he had built. And he started building those groups of 4 to like groups of 10. And this is how he started to really scale his business, is he had preset groups that all of the new customers at that point were going to come into, because he realized, I don't need to cap this off at 4. So he improved on his communication skills. He improved on how he wanted to actually coach his clients, and the systems and the strategies that he used to actually run the session got a lot more efficient. And because he was able to take on more kids per hour, now every time he was talking to a parent, they're just funneling into one of the groups that he had. This helped this particular trainer get his business where he could train hundreds, and I'm serious, hundreds of customers per week without sacrificing more hours. And when he got to the hundreds, all right, obviously he had coaches that were there, because I think he had at the point, he had like 10 sessions per week that he was running. There was like groups of 10 or 10 kids in each group. So he could handle 100 kids purely by himself. But when you're talking about hundreds of clients, he had other coaches at that point that were running sessions next to him, like in the same hour. So he got 20 kids there at one session, and it'd be him on this side, his assistant coach on this side. And that's where he really started to scale his business, is because he used the group training model as the foundation of his business. And he didn't just switch everything over into groups all at once. He started out small by going from one-on-one into groups of 2, then groups of 4. Once he had that confidence, he then scaled it up to groups of 10. So if you're watching this video and you have found yourself burned out, or you found like, man, I'm so drained by the end of the week, we need to install group training into your business. And it's not something like if you should do it, like you need to do it if you want to grow and scale what you're doing and actually have a life and have time away from coaching. That's what this coach ended up doing. It's like he has so much free time now because of the right business model that we installed into his business. And this is something that takes time. It's not this overnight thing where you just start training groups of 10. All right. So if you're watching this video and you want more help, go right below this video, hit the link there, watch a video, see what I do, see how it works, see case studies and results. And if you're brand new to this channel, hit subscribe. You can see more videos like this that are geared towards private coaches that want to grow a successful 6-figure or more per year business. That's it. See you later.